We have a very special, exclusive guest tonight you will not see anywhere else. Joining us now is health care reform. Hi, Bill. Are you okay? I have to say, you don't actually look very good.
I've had a bad August, Rachel. People said so many mean things. I don't want to kill old people. Come on.
Well, things did seem to be going pretty well for you. As recently as July, you were approved in those 3 House committees. You were approved in 1 Senate committee before the recess. You only had 1 committee to go. What happened?
Max Baucus happened. He thought delaying me would make Republicans like me better. Yeah, right. As if.
Bill, that cough sounds pretty bad. Maybe you should get that looked at.
I would, Rachel, but I can't afford it. I gotta go. Oh, I got a cracked rib, too.
Oh.
See ya, Rachel.
Are you actually going to make it? I'm very worried about this.
I don't know, Rachel. You tell me.
Oh, Max Baucus, what have you wrought? Back in November of last year, Senator Baucus released a health care reform call to action where he outlined his big plan for reform with the #1 goal of universal coverage. And to get there, he said there would be a public health insurance option to compete with the private companies and bring down costs. Health care for everyone. That sounded like a good idea to a lot of Democrats in Congress. And lucky for them, they had huge majorities in both houses of Congress. So practically, they didn't need to spend a lot of time worrying about trying to get Republican votes. They could get a move on. And health care reform generally chugged right along. It passed the Senate Health Committee, chaired by the late Senator Ted Kennedy, on July 15th with all Democratic votes. It passed the House Ways and Means Committee and the Education and Labor Committee 2 days later with all Democratic votes. And then it passed a 3rd House Committee, Energy and Commerce, on July 31st with, spoiler alert, all Democratic votes. This was the little bill that could, thanks to the Democratic majorities in Congress in both houses and the widespread belief that this was necessary, needed, and going to happen this year. It was moving along. It only had to get through 1 more committee, the Senate Finance Committee, chaired by Max Baucus. The same Max Baucus who back in November wrote his Health Care for All public option manifesto. But instead of proceeding like all the other committees had, like all the other committees that health care reform had zipped through, Senator Max Baucus decided to do things differently. In his committee, he decided to take Republicans from the minority of the committee and put them into a small bipartisan group of 6 to see if those 6 could get Republicans to vote for the bill instead of it just being voted for by Democrats. And that's where everything came to a halt. Instead of passing the bill before the August recess, which would have been probably possible if the Finance Committee had just done what all the other committees did, Senator Baucus instead started hundreds of hours of bipartisan negotiations, while Republicans and anti-reform forces luxuriated in the time they'd been granted to crusade against reform. Senator Baucus negotiated away the public option and coverage for living wills, and he made the bill anti-immigrant, and he made it anti-abortion, and in the end, what did he get?
No Republican has offered his or her support at this moment.
So was it worth it? All that time Senator Baucus spent watering down the bill and negotiating with Republicans who weren't going to vote for it anyway? You know, that's time you'll never get back.